Right, we've got that rant out of the way, haven't we, about my comments. I'm just beginning to wonder whether, as we filmmakers, we should start wearing makeup. I realise I've got shiny patches. No, it wouldn't be me, would it? No, I didn't think it would. There's a silly phrase going around my head. I get them from time to time. Diddle, diddle, dumpling, my son John went to bed with his trousers on. One shoe off and the other shoe on. Diddle, diddle, dumpling, my son John. Well, I have a son called John, and you might have seen that wonderful, wonderful tribute that Kaz did to me last night. She was hiding in the other room, and she came in with a really happy look on her face. I thought, oh, she's going to try to buy herself something, or someone chatted her, but no, it was for me. Anyway, in it she showed you some of my family, didn't she? There was a guy in it. He wasn't my husband, he was my brother-in-law. That's when our John was little, picture of him as a babe. And our John didn't want his photograph on the medium, so we won't tell him. Well, if you see him, just don't tell him. But Kaz didn't know that. Anyway, diddle diddle dumpling, our son John. Our John is a lovely lad. He's now 29, and we did have fun with him when he was little. Talk about grey hair. He couldn't settle at school, and he couldn't settle no matter where he went, and there was always something wrong, and I always knew there was something the matter, but yet they put me down as an over, cautious mother. And it wasn't until he was, I think he was 18, before they finally decided that he had Asperger's syndrome, or he was Asperger's syndrome, whatever the phrase is. Do you know, it was wonderful, because suddenly we knew what was the matter, and we understood why he'd go upstairs to put on his shoes, and an hour and a half later he came down with one sock on, and you think I'm exaggerating. It just all made sense. So then I knew what to say to him. Like, John, will you go upstairs into your bedroom, and underneath the bed you'll find your shoes. Will you put both shoes on and then come downstairs? And as long as he had a chain of command, so to speak, to follow, he was fine. But say to him, oh John, for goodness sake, will you get your shoes on? Well, where? How? What have I to do? So he finds something else and gets sidetracked. I'm going to tell you a little story just about him. I'm going to tell you how God has had his hand on him. Now, John isn't necessarily a spiritual lad. I think he believes in him. I still think he does. But he's not as balmy as his mother, or his sisters for that matter, in the spiritual sense. I want to tell you a story one day when he was only little. I don't know, 6 or 7, something like that. And he was having a bath. Now, in those days, we all shared the bath water. Sounds filthy, I know, but we did, you know. And he always went in last. Why? Because he wanted to swim to his heart's content. Anyway, he came running out and said, "I've got soap in my eyes." I thought I'd say so what, but anyway. So I said, "We'll go back in the water and we'll get it out." Well, as he put his foot in the water, he said, "No, it's electric." I said, "Oh, don't be stupid, John." He said, "It's electric." Well, I started trying to encourage him, so only mothers would know how. And no, he was screeching and shouting, it was electric. Anyway, I then thought, well, I'll wash his hair under his face, in the tap, in the sink. So I went to turn on the tap, and as I turned on the tap, I got an electric shock. And then I walked on something on the floor. We didn't have floor covering down. We still don't, actually. But anyway, we didn't have it in those days. And I got an electric shock again. Anyway, my hubby came, realised there was a problem. We turned off the electric and we turned off the electric. And then the long and the short of it was, there was a nail underneath the bathroom floor, and it was connected with the cooker wire, and it was always live. And so our John, being our John, threw water here, there and everywhere. If he had stopped in that water one moment long, the current would have gone through the water, and that would have been that. To make matters worse, our Colin would have gone and put his hands in the water to lift him out, and the same would have happened to him. Well, that was one incident. Another incident when, not much long after, Tina was babysitting, and I was out on one of the very rare occasions me and Colin ever went out when the children were young. And I came back and there was like a string of bedding hanging from the bedroom window, and it just looked like somebody had knotted them all together to escape. And went in, and Tina said, "I don't want to worry you, Mum," she said, "but I think John's fallen out of the window." And I was oh, you've got to be there to appreciate it. Anyway, I went upstairs, and on his back there was the tiniest line, scratch if you will. And what he'd done in his way, he'd gone to the toilet, hadn't he? And he'd gone, climbed up onto the windowsill, thinking that was the toilet, the window being open, and then stood up. I'm sorry. I still makes me laugh after all these years. But what you don't appreciate is it was a really, really big drop. For some reason, the back of the house, it was a higher drop than it was if it had been at the front. And he landed on these steps, and I had all sorts. Oh, I had shovels and all sorts. he could have broken his back, you know, he could have cut his head open, all the other things he could have done, and he didn't. And then the final thing, as I say, they were all, you know, within a few years of one another. We went down to Cornwall, the only holiday place I've ever been to in my life, but we went down to Cornwall. And we went to a place called Falmouth, which is where the boats, what do they call it? It's not a harbour. Anyway, all the boats go in. And it's a nice place, but it can be a bit of a rough area as well, if you catch my drift. Well, anyway, we were on this caravan park outside of Falmouth, about 2 miles, maybe 3 miles outside Falmouth. And I said, are you coming with us to this hotel? It was a nice hotel. And John said, no, I'm not, I'm playing with my friend. So Tina said, well, I'll stop, you know, it'll be alright with me. Well, I get home, Tina's crying, Mum, I'm sorry, I've lost John. So what do you mean you've lost John? I've lost him. And he had apparently come back to the caravan, decided we weren't there, so thought he'd come and find us. Now, he'd been there once before, a couple of years previous. This is the wonderful thing about Asperger's. They keep things inside the head that we don't know about. You know, and he kept the root in his head. And he walked all the way to the hotel. Well, I was getting my knickers in a twist. And then all of a sudden, I got a piece. And I said to Tina, well, they've either found him or he's in glory. And there was such a tremendous peace. Unbeknown to me, somebody had seen him in this pub, because he went and he sat outside in the garden and just, you know, somebody asked him, was he with his mum and dad, and he said he was waiting for them. And then somebody asked him if he wanted any chips, and he said no. Till in the end they took him into the manager's office and tried to find out who he was and where he came from. Now, those are 3 times when something could have happened to our lad, and it didn't. And there are others, but time's gone now. But do you know, he's grown up into a lovely lad. He's 29 now. It was Tina's birthday, you know, a couple of days ago. She was 35. I'm not old enough. I really am not old enough. And then our Kaz, that lovely thing she did. Lovely thing she did. So those are my kids. And I am proud of every single one of them. I love them all. You know, I watched Becca the other day, dancing with her babe. And you know, I didn't know that you could make the screen big. Well, I just found that out. Oh, beautiful babe, beautiful babe. You know, my kids were beautiful babes. Now, you think I'm looking back through rose-coloured glasses. I have another pair of glasses which I can look back on. I'm not daft. I know what they were really like. what I'm saying is sometimes it's your perspective, how you look at them. You know. I mean, there's our Josh having to look after these young kids. Wanting to. There's kids, I know that. You know. But I bet it's hard work, Josh, isn't it? It was hard work with mine. Oh, but it was fun. I think if only we knew that I get to this age now and be able to look back, that would be the thrill. And it wouldn't bother me as much while I was doing it. But oh, John. We could write a book. We really could. Anyway, that's my book for today. You've seen me twice, that's enough. Okay. Have a lovely day, all of you. You know. And do what you know you should. Bless you all. Bye. Take care, loves. Bye.